It was the winter of 1944, and the world felt like it was holding its breath. The great Allied machine had rolled across Europe after Normandy, pushing the Germans back mile by bloody mile. Victory seemed close enough to taste Paris liberated, the Siegfried Line cracking. But in the quiet offices of Supreme Headquarters, one man saw shadows where others saw only the light of triumph. His name was Colonel Benjamin Monk Dixon, G2 intelligence officer for the First Army, a soldier scholar with a mind like a steel trap and eyes that had seen too much already. He wasn't the flashy type. No patent bravado, no Montgomery flair, just a quiet, persistent voice in the briefings, poring over reports and ultra-decrypts. Dixon had been watching the Ardennes sector, the quiet front they called it, thinly held by green American divisions resting, a place the high command thought the Germans would never dare attack in winter. But Dixon saw patterns others dismissed: German rail movements, fuel stockpiles, radio silence that felt too deliberate, whispers from captured soldiers about something big coming. The last gamble, he warned them, not once, repeatedly, in memos and late-night conversations. Dixon laid it out. The Germans were massing opposite the Ardennes. This had the feel of a major offensive aimed straight at the thin seam between American armies. The response? Polite nods, reassurances, and the belief that the enemy was finished, bled dry from the summer's fighting. Eisenhower and Bradley had their eyes on the Rhine. The war was all but won. Why overreact to ghosts in the fog? The days turned colder. Snow began to fall. Dixon's warnings grew more urgent. He remembered the hard-won respect for German adaptability, but the machine rolled on, confident in its momentum. Then came December 16, 1944. The forest erupted. Thousands of German artillery pieces opened up in the pre-dawn darkness. Searchlights bounced off low clouds. Panzer divisions smashed through the American lines like a sledgehammer through brittle ice. Communications collapsed. The quiet front became the Battle of the Bulge, the largest and bloodiest battle fought by the U.S. Army. Eisenhower, in his headquarters, received the shocking reports. The scale of the breakthrough was staggering. Only then did the high command grasp the depth of what Dixon had been trying to tell them. Imagine the scene. Maps hastily updated with red arrows thrusting deep into Allied territory, telephones ringing off the hook. Eisenhower confronting the reality that his lines had been pierced because warnings had been downplayed, not out of malice, but out of that human tendency toward optimism when exhaustion sets in. No one wanted to believe the enemy still had fangs. Dixon's foresight wasn't celebrated. Intelligence officers rarely are, but in the brutal fighting that followed, the price became clear. Over 1 million men involved, tens of thousands of casualties. Towns like Bastogne turned into frozen symbols of defiance. Patton's Third Army executing that legendary pivot north, Montgomery's forces holding. The Bulge was eventually pinched off. The high command learned the hard way why Dixon had been so insistent. The Germans nearly pulled off a masterstroke. Looking back now, there's a deep nostalgia in it, for men like Dixon, steady professionals who did their duty without the spotlight. The war reminded everyone that vigilance never sleeps, even when victory seems assured. The Battle of the Bulge left scars that lingered. It cost us time, resources, and far too many young lives. Yet it stands as a quiet caution. Listen to the voices in the room who see the details others overlook. The forests can hide more than trees. In the end, Eisenhower's forces crossed the Rhine. The Reich fell. Warnings ignored exact their price, and the men who give them deserve their place in the long memory of what it took to win. Thank you for listening to this reflection on a chapter we should never forget. The courage was in speaking up.